Hello friends, welcome to my channel. Today's topic is FTP server, how to access your FTP server and download the files, or how to transfer files to your FTP server. So let's see how to configure the FTP server for this purpose. So I'm going to take a Cisco Packet Tracer 2 lab. So I'm taking a PC which can act as a FTP client. So I'm naming it as FTP client for our reference. And then I'll go to server. I'll make a FTP server. So let's connect them together using a switch. I'm taking a small switch and then connecting the FTP client and the FTP server through this switch. So it's connected. So now go to the FTP client and then assign the IP address. So let's assign the IP address for this FTP client. I'm going to apply 1.1.1.1 as an IP address for this client with the default mask of 255.0.0.0, and then configure the DNS server. So this server is not only serves a FTP service as well, FTP service, but also it serves as a DNS server. So you can enable any services on this server. So DHCP, DNS, all kind of service can be enabled on this server. So I'm enabling DNS as well as of now. So this is though we are looking on this FTP server. So we will talk about it later further. So now let's complete the IP assignment for these devices. So I have assigned the IP address for this FTP client. So let's check it. Just go to IP config, and then you can see the 1.1.1.1 has been assigned to this FTP client. Let's go to the FTP server. Just go to the services. There is an option called services as well. So before that, let's assign the IP address 1.1.1.100 default mask, and then the DNS server should be 1.1.1.100. Make sure that both the IP address are same, the device IP address and the DNS server IP address in this case. Just go to services and make sure the DNS, we are going to check for DNS and FTP. So just go to DNS and ensure they are switched on. HTTP and HTTPS both are on, and then go to the you can just give the www.test.com. So you are creating a record for this, as we have seen. So you can see my another video regarding this DNS services. I have created another video and shared already. So we are creating a DNS service here. So by creating a record, so using the FTP client, FTP server IP address 1.1.1.100. Now go to the FTP service and then make sure it is on, and then create a username and password for this FTP server to access. Basically, to authenticate, you need a username and the server, a server password. So we are giving this, and we are going to enable all the permissions here. So you can see write, read, delete, rename list. So we are going to select all of them. So we are going to give a full permission for this FTP server for a client to access it. So check all of them and then click add. So that's it. So now the FTP server has been configured with the IP address and the services. So just go to the FTP client, go to command prompt and try to ping the FTP server IP address 1.1.1.100. So it is pinging now. So now check whether you are able to do FTP from this client to that server. FTP, and then you have to give the FTP name. So we have already configured the FTP name. I told you, the DNS service. So where there we have created a www.test.com. So give it and then try to do a FTP. So it says trying to connect www.test.com. So we need to check why it is not connecting, why we are not able to do a FTP. Just go to the FTP server and check the DNS record whether it is correctly configured. So it is correctly configured with the corresponding IP address and the records. So just go to the HTTP service. So we have not configured this one, so we need to configure that server website. So just go to the HTTP and type this thing, hello world, something like that. You create a HTML page for our web server. So regarding this also I have created a video and shared already. So let's configure this and save it. So now Just go to the FTP server again, make sure they are all configured correctly. So DNS records has been configured with the corresponding IP address, and then FTP service is also enabled. Let's go to the client again and then try to ping the FTP server again. So do a FTP www.test.com again. So still it's trying to connect, but it's not connecting. So we need to check one more thing, whether it is uh, pingable or not. Ping 1.1.1.100. So it is pinging. We were already verified this. So just go to the IP configuration. So here you can see 1.1.1.1, so which was wrongly given. So this is what I told you earlier. So the DNS server configuration was not configured properly. So I have corrected the IP address now. So you can see both the side, the same IP address, which is 1.1.1.100 has been given as a FTP server, as well as the DNS server name. Both are acting as same IP address. So both FTP and DNS server are two-in-one server which has the same IP address. We have created a record for DNS and the client and the IP address for the FTP server. So now do a FTP again. So it's pinging now, and just go to FTP www.test.com. It's connecting now. So give the credentials admin which we have created. So now we are into the FTP server. So we can do transfer files from FTP server to the FTP client and vice versa. So let's check whether we are able to transfer a file. The basic purpose of FTP is to file transfer, right? This works on a TCP based. So this is a TCP based protocol basically. So let's create a file first. Just go to text editor in your client and then create a text like a test, just some test file, and then rename it with your name, something like charles.txt, and then click OK. It will be saved as a text. So now you can, this is a file now, text file. So you are going to transfer this file from your client machine to the FTP server. So we are already in the FTP server logged in. So just put a command called put. Before that, let's check the list in the FTP server whether the file exists with the same name or not. No, there is no file exist. Now you can transfer the file using the command put put space and then the file name, which is we have created as charles.txt. So you can see it has been transferred to the FTP server. Just go to FTP server dir and check it has been transferred now. So you can see the 26th file is the file which we have created and transferred to the FTP server. So we are in the FTP server and we are able to see this file has been transferred from the FTP client to the server. Okay, so now let's take another client, another user or an FTP client. Okay, and maybe a PC9. So we are going to connect this FTP. So we already have another FTP client existing. So we are going to create this FTP client and connect it to the switch so that it will get the reachability to the FTP server. So now assign an IP address to this new client as 1.1.1.2 and the same subnet mask, which is the default mask, and then assign the IP address. Now you are giving the correct IP address 1.1.1.100 in this client. So now go to IP config and check you are able to ping the FTP server. So it will take some time because you can see there is an orange dot over here, so which means the network is initializing now, the connection is initializing now. It has been configured and now it is pingable now. So the ping is successful. Now just do a FTP www.test.com again. You are trying to connect the FTP server. It's connected. Give the credentials admin, and then you will be able to get into the FTP server. So you logged into the FTP server, give a dir. So you can see the previously loaded file charles.txt file in the FTP server. So now what we are going to do, we are going to download this file which we have transferred earlier to this client, to this new client. So to download the file, you have to give a command called get. So using get, you can type get charles.txt and you will be able to download the file to this new client. So let's quit FTP, quit. That means you will be able to exit out of the server. Now give dir and you will be able to see the file has been transferred from the FTP server to this new client. So that's it. So that's how we can transfer the files from the server to the client and client to the server. So basically this is one of the application service which we can enable on our network to file the transfers. So basically this FTP server works based on a TCP protocol. So it creates a session between the client and the server. Basically it's a client server paradigm in which a session is formed during the file transfer. Before the file transfer, a session is formed between the client and the FTP server, and then it will be transferred properly. So that's how we can configure the FTP server. I hope this video is useful to you. Thank you so much.